Good morning. I'd like to call the August 12th, 2010 County Board of Commissioners meeting to order, and I will be able to speak soon. The first thing on the agenda is actually the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you will join us, stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We've got one commissioner, I believe, who's on his way, Commissioner Austin, and one commissioner who is more than a mile high, I think, in Colorado, and having a good vacation, which was well deserved after a lot of intense work this last winter and spring on urban and rural reserves, Commissioner Lehan. So she's looking at all the wild places in the country, which is a great thing to do. So. On the first thing on our agenda today is a presentation. It's an informational update on the Clackamas County's locally grown food programs, and we have Evan Polk from our Office of Sustainability here to help us with this presentation. Good morning, Evan.
Good morning, Commissioners. The promotion of local food and healthy eating is a good example of a unifying or cross-cutting effort or theme in Clackamas County involving sustainability, facilities management, wellness, economic development, the juvenile department, hosts like the Housing Authority, the Milwaukee Center, Community Solutions, and more. And as a county, of course, we're looking for ways to promote local agriculture through good policy and larger scale initiatives. Reflected in documents like the Green Ribbon Report, the Action Plan for Sustainable Clackamas County, and at some point soon, the Agricultural Investment Plan. But today, however, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to update you on some of our efforts at the program or initiative level within county operations. There are a lot of food dollars in Clackamas County, not to mention the metro region and the other destinations that food grown in Clackamas County goes to. But I estimate that the households in Clackamas County spend almost $1 billion a year on food. And finding ways to keep those food dollars in the county represents a huge opportunity for local farmers. The Action Plan for Sustainable Clackamas County in Action 6.3 says that we will commit to supporting Metro Region Food Shed for healthy, local, and organic foods. It includes some of the following activities: connecting local producers with delivery systems, increasing the pool of food producers, and supporting year-round farmers markets, community-supported agriculture, and related businesses. So I'm going to take you through a few of those efforts right now. There are about 10 farmers markets in Clackamas County, and we support all of them to varying degrees. Of course, we serve as hosts for the Oregon City market on Saturdays, and commissioners, past and present, have a great history of individual and collective support for farmers markets. So this is something that you know and understand well. The key partners in hosting the farmers market here in our parking lot are, of course, you, facilities management, and to some extent our office. I've asked Jackie Hemmon-Williams, the manager of the Oregon City Market, if she would say a few words about her experience recently with the Oregon City Farmers Market. So, Jackie, would you join us?
Yes.
Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. It's kind of timely because last week was National Farmers Market Week, and to celebrate that, the market now has a newsletter that goes out to approximately 800 customers. So I wrote a little piece in there. In fact, the main piece of the newsletter was reflecting on how far the market's come. And obviously a big part of that was thanking and continuing to show appreciation for the county for this wonderful, stable site that we've been afforded. I don't think our continuing success would have occurred had we not have had this wonderful, stable site. And it's huge. And I wanted you to know and the customers to know that the market continues to appreciate that very much. And along those lines, I also would like to say thank you for the opportunity. I think Eben might talk further about the farm stand that we have collaborated with this year for the employees. It's wonderful to have such incredible support from the county for the local food movement. And I talk to people outside the county all the time, and they go, wow, that Clackamas County is really something. Your support recently for the farmland, local farmers markets, etc., is just unparalleled. And it's wonderful that we've had this farm stand here, not only for the employees and to disseminate more local foods, but also for the sake of this is a farmer that I couldn't accommodate in the market. I have enough farmers, and he's been on a waiting list now for about 3 years. So being able to have him here is great. And so I don't know if, now is the opportunity, but certainly at a later date, maybe I would love to come before you and talk about some other ideas I have to further the local food movement here in Clackamas County in different programs. So, but anyway, I just wanted to say a big thank you, and you are very much appreciated.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all your hard work. Having watched the inception and the growth to Wednesdays in downtown Oregon City?
Yes, I put in the newsletter last week that we started 6 years ago with 5 vendors, and all of us on the board went home and dug our gardens up that night and came back with weeds like lemon balm and raspberry canes and weak little tiny tomato plants that were just ridiculous. And we were 3 people deep waiting to buy them from us, and we went, what? But this year we started out with, I think, 49 vendors, our first market. We were averaging around 50 vendors. And I just was telling Eben that, yes, you probably did hear that we did start a small Wednesday market downtown. And one of our newest vendors, in fact, is a aged goat's cheese vendor. She's a goat farmer in Malala, and she was actually accepted by Portland Market. But she came to me and she said, I'm at a Wednesday Portland Market, but it doesn't feel right. I grow, or my goats eat land in Clackamas County. It's the terroir, it's the taste of Clackamas. I need to sell at a Clackamas County market. So she came to us. That was her first night last night. She did equally as well as she did at the Portland market. So I would say that probably 90% of our vendors are all from Clackamas County. So, but yeah.
And that's Karen Humphreys, correct? With the goat cheese.
No, this is Corinne Golden.
Corinne Golden, that's right. That's her name.
Okay, yes. And I would like to also say that because we've had this success, because of your support, we're able now to roll it round to a year-round market. So we'll be doing a winter one down on Main Street on a Saturday every other week. So we're going to keep access to local foods going all through the winter.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ben?
All right, so one of the things that we did last year was to complement our farmers markets is just to pilot an employee-focused farm share program, community-supported agriculture, CSA farms. We started with 2 farmers last year, Anna and Craig Rogers at Malino Valley Farm and Larry and Laura Huckaba Family Table Farm. And we had about 35 subscribers, all county employees. We arranged for the drop-off site here at the Red Soils campus in the DSB, one of the delivery rooms. And this year, because there was a lot of interest, in fact, we had a waiting list last year, so this year we brought on another farmer, Singer Hill Gardens, run by Mo McKenna, and we have 70-plus people participating this year. So maybe next year we can beat 100. We'll see. We might run out of room in our space in our little delivery room that we've repurposed, at least partly repurposed with shelving. A couple more things about that program. It's about, depending on the farmer, it's 20-plus weeks, weekly pickups. We have folks participating from offices beyond the Red Soils campus. It's about $20 to $25 a week, depending on the farmer. That's what it works out to. Of course, when you subscribe to a CSA, you pay up front, and one of the great things about that, from the perspective of the farmer, is that it offers a significant measure of income security for the growing season. Most of the farmers provide suggested recipes for especially some of the produce that you might not see at most grocery stores, and folks might not be used to cooking kohlrabi or something like that. So they provide some recipes. There are also, a couple of them are making an effort to build a sense of community. I'm really excited about that with potlucks and other things amongst those who subscribe. And they, for the most part, offer reusable bags and buckets if you want to cut down on waste as you convey your produce. Those are some points about the Farm Share program. This is the list of produce that's available through that program to our employees. Some of the great comments that we got in our survey after last year's effort, just to find out what the level of satisfaction was with the program and how we could improve it. Some folks said that the share was larger than their family could handle, but the quality was great and it was fresh. For the most part, people were just really excited about the program. We had a few hiccups here and there with communication with one farmer, but overall I would say it was a great success. A lot of folks also expressed gratefulness at the opportunity to learn about local agriculture. They never really thought about issues of seasonality. You know, when you go to the market, you're not subject to the vagaries of weather, and you become reacquainted with that when you subscribe to CSA or you go to the farmers market. In response to the popularity of the Farm Share program, but knowing that not everybody, a Farm Share program doesn't work for everybody because it's kind of a big commitment. So thanks to help from facilities management, we put together the Farm Stand program, also with Jackie's support. She found our farmer. And this slide shows you how we're seeing an uptick in the number of people that are coming and buying something at that farm stand on a weekly basis. Last week, more than a half ton of blueberries were sold. I think it was 1,200 pounds. And that's one reason why the numbers last week were up over 100 folks. In addition to Galen Flory Farms, Baird's Orchards has also been coming, selling peaches and such. So this has been very popular. There are also some gardens popping up at various county facilities. Of course, some of these have been here for a while, but the Housing Authority has a new community garden built with the help of the Juvenile Department. Community Corrections, Red Soils Campus, Employee Garden right out here, Milwaukee Center. We're also in conversations with the development agency to identify some county-owned parcels out in the Happy Valley area that might be offered as community gardens for some neighborhoods out there. So just to wrap up, I want to highlight that I think this is a great example of sustainability in action, meeting people's needs, protecting the planet, and promoting prosperity. These are all things that we're accomplishing with these programs. Healthy food, we're saving people time if they enroll in the CSA program or if they buy something down at the farm stand, or we might be saving some people some time. We're building relationships with farmers, knowledge of local food, volunteer opportunities. These growers are all using organic pesticide-free practices. In some cases, like Singer Hill Gardens, they're actually repurposing and diversifying suburban lawns. We're directing food dollars locally. We're supporting at least 4 farmers. And this is also a very low-cost initiative. It doesn't take a lot to sponsor something like this. And also, just in conclusion, as exciting as these initiatives are, they are largely benefiting internal operations in our workforce. So I just wanted to conclude by noting that I think the vision for developing and supporting agriculture, both among staff and among you, our commissioners, is much deeper and broader than this. And it's our intention in our office to help develop this vision and carry it to fruition as we update our action plan and participate in the development of the agricultural investment plan. So thanks for your time.
Great. Great presentation. Any clarifying questions for staff? Commissioner Leininger.
I was fascinated. Well, I think you're doing incredible work, and I love this program. And as a participant in the program last year, I had a tremendous experience. So thank you for that great work. You made reference to the amount of money that Clackamas County residents spend on food each year, an estimate. And I'm curious how you derived that number. It's amazing, $1 billion a year that we could have people spend within the community, which would be tremendous for our economy.
The Federal Labor Administration and other federal agencies make estimates of household expenditures every year. Mm-hmm. So that's based on an assumption that per household, approximately $6,000+ are spent a year. Average household size in Clackamas County is about 2.5 people. Mm-hmm. So when you divide out the number of people in Clackamas County, that's about the number you come up with, is a little less than $1 billion.
Okay, well, that's really powerful. Thank you so much for your work, and keep it
Thanks.
up.
Thank you, Eben. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for coming in and sharing the information and letting folks know. And we do have a scroll at the end of every business meeting letting people know when all the farmers markets are around the entire county, as well as other community events. So we try to keep people updated. The next item on the agenda is citizen communication. If there's anyone wishing to testify on a non-agenda item, now would be the time. I don't have anyone signed up, and I'm not seeing anyone come forward, so I will close the citizen communication portion of the meeting and move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Chair Peterson, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Austin and seconded by Commissioner Bernard that we approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstaining? The motion is approved unanimously. Thank you. Last thing on the agenda is Commissioner communication. Before we go into that, I just want to acknowledge that Mark Gonzalez, our financial officer, is taking charge this week while our county administrator is on vacation. And Dave Anderson is here from County Council, representing county councils, while Steve Lonsberry is on vacation. It is that time of the year. And we appreciate both of you and all of the work that you have done to help us through the last week, because life does not stop. It continues to move and move at a quick, fast pace. So thank you for both filling in on when and where you were needed. Much appreciated. Commissioners, any comments this week? Commissioner Austin?
Sure. Chair Peterson, even though it is summertime, it is extremely busy. I'm just amazed. I'm just barely able to recover from my yesterday, which started at 7:30 a.m. at a Clackamas County Business Alliance meeting and ended at about 9:30 in the parking lot of Scouters Mountain Elementary School after a meeting of the first kickoff meeting of the 172nd, 190th Corridor Plan, basically for increasing safety and accessibility, connectivity in the Happy Valley, Damascus portion. It also covers moving people north and south. So we also had folks there from Clackamas, not only from Clackamas County, but from Multnomah County. And so it's envisioned to have probably a series of, maybe upwards of a couple of dozen meetings and workshops with all of the citizens. So rather than our county transportation department coming in and saying to the citizens, okay, here's our plan. We plan to improve these roads, and this is what it's going to look like. No, we're basically starting from scratch with some basic goals and objectives and lots of maps and thinking about, where would a widening of the roadway work the best? And maybe we need a different roadway. Do we use existing roads? And what about safety? Do we want sidewalks? How about bike paths? So it's really kind of interesting to look at this process. And we probably had, I guess a good 20 people around the table and lots of great staff support. Kittleson and Company is basically the consultant working on that. And we also have the issues with, Happy Valley has a comprehensive plan and a transportation plan. The city of Damascus is still trying to finalize their comp plan along with their transportation system plan. So all of these pieces will hopefully be coming together over maybe a 6-month period or so to at least come to some general understanding of what connectivity would mean for that area, as well as keeping the roadways safe and trying to plan for the future. So really an interesting process. I was glad I was able to make that. The other big issue that's going on right now is that the Chief Operating Officer's report is out on basically the future of the region. We're looking at a potential for where do we expand the metro urban growth boundary over the next 5 years. And there's a lot of tension there, of course, between first of all, we're in sort of this lull in the financial sector. We're not seeing a lot of housing built, not a lot of business activity. So the question is, do we do much of anything over the next 5 years? There still has to be enough housing available, because if there isn't enough housing available over the next 5 years, it could create pressures on some of the surrounding cities. Then you have additional transportation needs, and that's a difficult one to meet too. So a lot of tension between staying where we are with the urban growth boundary, maybe growing up, maybe more so, and if we have to expand, have really good reasons for that and very good justification. So that's sort of a lot of the tension includes being more efficient with what we already have. So more to follow on that whole planning process as we wind down towards the end of this calendar year. Let's see, I think I had one more thing, but I can't remember what it was right now. But one last thing. I love the report from Eben in terms of the sustainability piece relating to farming. The other piece that is being looked at around the region deals with what's called climate prosperity. There will be just a general meeting of a group of folks who were involved in coming up with what's called a green print for the Portland metro area. In other words, how do we capitalize on some of the what are called green jobs today and into the future, so that we could take advantage of that lesser carbon footprint, but also capitalize on. We've got a lot of companies like Oregon Institute of Technology, one of the premier colleges that looks at providing programs for sustainable energy. We have Oregon Iron Works building streetcars. So we have a lot of related industries that are already within this green sector. So we're looking at ways in which we can further capitalize on that. So there'll be more information forthcoming in terms of how maybe this county and others incorporate some of those thoughts and ideas into our economic development plans for the future. So that'll be an interesting discussion this afternoon to see where other parts of the region are looking in terms of working through those sustainability and climate prosperity pieces. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Bernard, anything?
I just got back from another conference, and a couple of the things that we're working on in the county, of course, is visitor centers and welcoming centers. Had an opportunity to travel. I was in Alabama, which is quite hot. I'm glad we don't have that humidity. I had an opportunity to travel to Florida, which is not that far away, and stopped at every visitor center and every welcoming center from here to Florida, including St. Augustine, Florida, before we turned around. But there's a lot of great great ideas. And one of the last time I was in that area, one of the things that impressed me most was that when you walked in, you felt you were in somebody's living room. You were invited in to sit down and talk about what you would like to see, and somebody would help you. Florida had probably, they had free orange juice and grapefruit juice, and there were thousands of people in there, mostly with brochures. And must be $1 million worth of brochures in there. I thought it was somewhat of a waste of paper. But there is new technology out. You know, from my iPhone, for example, I went and looked at an electronic device and sent myself a coupon, a discount coupon, and then you can send yourself maps, and there's iPhone apps that do all kinds of wonderful things. And then I also went to a few seminars and looked at some of the new technology, some of the new ideas. Sat in on a presentation by people from Iowa who and also went to an award ceremony. One particular state says there's nothing here. Montana, their program, there's nothing here. Well, you know, it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. I think it was Montana, you know, buffalo crossing a creek and some of the great programs that were major successes. And the rest of the time I spent, it was my vacation. I had an opportunity to fish a little in one of Alabama's rivers, and had an opportunity to visit some of Bob's friends at the
Okefenokee Swamp.
Okefenokee Swamp.
So
And,
you're talking about the leathery kind of friends?
Yes, they're called alligators, right? Not crocodiles. Alligators, and it was fun going through the swamp and learning a little bit about 3 years ago they had a huge fire, thousands and thousands of acres that burned out a lot of the brush, but it was a great opportunity to listen to somebody who was born and raised just up the street from the creek. And back to Farmers Market, I've had the opportunity to work with Milwaukee Sunday Farmers Market as a business manager for 13 years. And I'd say the most impactful thing that I always think about when I leave is all the money that is spent that goes directly back into our community, all those farmers, and almost all of them are from the area, and also the craft people who have an opportunity to sell their crafts. But we're called a farmers market, so we've always tried to stick to farmers as much as possible, but we always let a certain percentage of craft people in. And one thing I don't really know is what kind of business model are most farmers markets created. Mine is a 501c3. It's a nonprofit, and we were created under an organization called Celebrate Milwaukee Inc. that donates all the money to all our income, which we charge for rent, to community events. Or we do pay a market master and some assistants, which I think is really also a great way to keep the money in the community. It's been very successful, as all farmers markets have. Most farmers markets have been, and I'm going to head up to Sandy probably next week to talk to them, to give them some ideas how they might be able to make their market more successful. Maybe we ought to consider a Clackamas County meeting of all our farmers markets and present some ideas. There is a statewide organization, but maybe a Clackamas County one where we can help one another be successful. And that just occurred to me just right then. So look forward to meeting with you.
All right, thanks, Commissioners. I just wanted to take a moment, go back to a report that was in the Oregonian today, and just let everybody know that the board unanimously agreed within the last couple of days that we needed to convene an independent review panel on our sheriff's office in order to review policies and procedures within that office and our own county policies that kind of overlap and are coordinated with the sheriff's office. And the reason for this was due to the troubling incidents in our community over the last several years involving deputies in our community. And we want to ensure that the public has the utmost confidence in our public safety system as we move forward. And the sheriff has joined us on looking to these best practices from around the nation. And if we need to change our practices to provide our deputies and our management and our public the tools necessary, we will do it together. The panel will be put together in the next couple of weeks and complete its work by the end of the year. This is not backward-looking, it's forward-looking, and it's not punitive towards any employees. We have the highest respect for all of our officers and the work that they do to ensure our public safety. But when they do need our help, when moments of stress do occur, and when bad things do happen, we need to make sure that we are providing all of the tools necessary to ensure public safety. So we want to raise the bar in order to ensure that we have the highest level of support for our staff and for our public. And so with that, I just wanted to acknowledge that we are moving forward, and we appreciate the public support in doing this, and we'll be looking for that panel to give us recommendations and provide the opportunity for members of the public to come in with their ideas with public testimony and information if necessary. So that will be an ongoing, and I'm sure an ongoing report back to you and everybody else of how that's going. So thank you for that. On the transportation front, I just wanted to acknowledge all of the good transportation work that's going on. Even in a time of limited resources, we are obviously moving forward with Milwaukee Light Rail. Commissioner Bernard serves on that committee, and we are trying to fill a recently acknowledged gap in the funding because the federal government decided, due to their lack of financial ability, that instead of a 60% federal split, they would go to 50%. On highway projects, the standard is 80%. On transit, it's somewhere between 50 and 60. And because of worry about funding for the future, they have gone to a 50-50, which means that we will work with the rest of the region to find cost-cutting savings, which is going to be difficult, as well as additional revenue. Part of the issue is that for every dollar cut, you not only lose federal match money, so it's a double cut, you also could lose a funding source such as Clackamas County's. So if you shorten the line and you don't go all the way to Park Avenue, we would no longer need to participate within that project. So that would be an even larger cut to the project. So cost cutting is difficult because it also means potential loss of other revenue. The other project that Commissioner Austin is now sitting on, planning for the future of 172nd, actually falls into a larger discussion at JPAC that we had today on an area-wide discussion going on in East County of Multnomah County that has direct impacts on Damascus's future, because as a lot of folks know, Clackamas County's transportation movement is north-south. We do a lot of going to work in Gresham, Columbia South Shore, Vancouver, Washington, and downtown Portland. Very few of our folks get up in the morning and go to work in Washington County. It's just a much further commute, a much more difficult commute. And the jobs that we go to are to the north. So our dependence on 172nd and building out a transportation system as we grow in Damascus and north is going to be essential. And so Metro is starting work on that. And we have brought Gresham into our discussion on 172nd, and I am hopeful that we will be brought into their discussion on East County, and that would be a good thing for maybe Commissioner Austin to continue work on. There is so much going on in transportation. Commissioner Leininger is my backup at JPAC. There's so much going on in transportation that it takes the whole host of us to keep up with it, so that's a good thing. And we will be, I'm sure, having a discussion about TriMet's recent announcement that they will be going to the ballot to ensure that as the demographics in our community get older, that we are able to continue moving people around. And the county, being one of those health and human service providers, seeing that demographic shift, we're going to be relying on the service from TriMet to get our folks to and from shopping, to and from doctor's appointments, to and from their relatives. While it is cheaper for folks to stay at home, live at home, and we do a lot of support to allow that to happen so they don't end up in facilities, it does mean that they could be there could be large amounts of our population that are isolated if we do not look at providing those transit options. And what TriMet is proposing is that the funding mechanism that was put in place for West Side Light Rail that is now coming to a conclusion with paying off the bonds for West Side Light Rail continue in place for a small number of years, and I don't have that number on me yet, to be able to do projects that buy buses, put in place capital projects that allow seniors to be able to get to bus stops, because it is $2.75 to take a ride for TriMet to provide you a ride on the bus and light rail system, but it is $29 a ride to provide you a one-way movement if you're senior or disabled in either a small bus or a sedan. So it's a vast cost difference, and if we do not deal with that cost difference, we will lose much of our fixed route system. So, scary thought. But we need to make sure we don't isolate people. So that's something that will be coming up, and I'm sure the board will be considering whether to support that or not. With that, if there's no other further business from commissioners or Mark Gonzalez, do you have anything?
Not today, thank you.
Okay. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.